a lot of real high number of staff compared to clients. And so sometimes when you have that ratio, it's better to take that small population to a different location where they can provide a better service and serve a larger group. So you get more efficiency for the dollar. And that's where I think we could look at reshaping funding to assist with Medicaid if Medicaid doesn't get renewed at the state capitol, which I think it will. But I'm hoping that they see the light. The small hospitals in Montana have been a really strong supporter for Medicaid, and they know how much it means to keep the hospitals open. And so I think our legislative branch in Helena will be able to deal with that. They certainly wanted to make people work for Medicaid services and other services, and I think that was a change that 6 years ago that Trump put in play, that our state capitol has had influence in it with Medicaid. But they realize the benefit. The federal dollars come to the state to serve Medicaid populations. So I'm pretty certain that they're going to keep it. To what extent or how they modify it, I don't know. Thank you, Abby.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Len.
Just one minor change where Scott Johnston was making a presentation on the Safe Streets for All. Down there on my comment, I just have one minor change. It says Len Two Teeth received feedback from the Elmo community regarding vehicles now slowing down. That should be not slowing down. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Danielle.
I'm going to email Abby. I'm just going to clean up my sentences there when I talk about pedestrian safety in the Highway 212.
Thank you, Danielle. Any other changes or modifications to the minutes? Motion by Lynn to approve the minutes. Bing? Second by Bing. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all is in favor? Yeah, I think we have a unanimous. We have today's agenda. Is there any additions to the agenda or modifications? Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last night I was down the groceries and I was contacted by someone asking about the holidays for December and in January. Christmas Eve falls on a Tuesday this year. Christmas is on a Wednesday. And see here, there's a Black Tuesday here. I don't know whether we're getting that Thursday off or not. Are we? Because it's black here, and I don't know if that was a holiday or not on this calendar. I thought I better ask and find out.
Jen, you know, should we bring?
So, like I said, I don't know whether we're going to work that day after Christmas, or what the deal is. I thought I better ask for the people and find out so everybody knows what's going to happen.
Do we get the 24th off, 25th, and then we'll go back to the 26th? Trade the 24th for the 26th? That'd make more sense, wouldn't it? Yeah, maybe we can see if personnel can come down here this afternoon sometime. Okay, that'd be good. We'll add that to the agenda. Any other items for the agenda? That was a wise person that talked to you, Bing.
Yeah.
I would entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Motion by Jimmy, second by Bing. Any further discussion? See none, all is in favor? Unanimous. According to what they're saying, the 24th would be the floater holiday, Christmas Eve, and then we get Christmas Day off, of course. But we could move that Christmas 24th to the day after Christmas. So it blends into the weekend better. So Thursday, you have to come back to work. Christmas is right in the middle of the week. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday deal. So if we flipped it, have the day after instead of the day before, then that would make people have a longer weekend anyway. Yeah, that's their choice. Hey, hey, Mel. Well, we were in need of some positivity, so we wanted to bring you all down here. You know, it's been a rough election year. Yeah. Good morning. Bing brought up the issue from some constituents that our holidays this year are in that strange situation where we get the middle of the week off. And so we were just discussing the potential of moving the 24th day off, the 24th, the day before Christmas, to the day after. So it blends into the weekend better. And then again, I don't know if that's a consideration for New Year's Eve. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any difference for the same kind of situation for New Year's Day, but we only give one day off for New Year's, not two. So probably not a big issue there. But for Christmas, I don't know. Is there any things that stand out at you right away if we did something like that?
Keep pushing the little
Christmas
button.
Eve or something, but normally we only do the 25th anyway.
We only do the 25th?
Mhm.
So there's not 2 days
Generally.
off? Okay,
We do the 2 days in July for Arlie and Elmo.
okay, okay.
Those
Well, I
are
get
the
it
two
mixed up.
Council decision.
So the question would be is whether we would give a floater on the 26th. Well, I know how Carol would feel about this. So most likely there's a huge amount of people who would take the 26th off.
Mhm. I should have grabbed our payroll calendar, honey.
Pulling it up.
Okay.
It's the 25th and then the 1st for New Year's Day. So got 2 Wednesdays off. Yeah, 25th of Christmas. I was mistaken, Len.
What is Christmas on a Wednesday?
Christmas is on a Wednesday.
So she was gonna pull up and see how it affects action
Oh, okay.
stuff. We can, I mean, there's plenty of time.
No worries.
Yeah, I appreciate that because if it affects any deadlines, then we can get plenty of notice out if
Yeah.
that's what you guys decide to do.
So is there any thing that stand out? Maybe we just deliberate it today and at the end of the day, we bring it back up.
Well, she was just gonna look at the payroll calendar, but I think it's far enough in advance that, I mean, if you decide to do it and it affects any deadlines,
We can move them.
we can move them. I don't know how it would affect payroll though. If it's an early process for them. Without looking at the calendar.
Well, why don't we seek some more information and bring it back?
The deadline right now.
I know the number of people who are going to take Thursday off is going to be dramatic. Sound like there's gonna be a lot of business being provided, other than the, the core essential services.
Yeah, we'd have to move the deadline anyway.
Anyway, yeah, we can deliberate it and find out more and,
Yeah,
revisit it, Thursday morning. We have a quorum Thursday? More of a quorum?
Yeah, right now on the payroll calendar, they show that time is due on Christmas. So deadlines are gonna have to change anyway.
So they'll have to do it on the 24th. Well, what's the consensus of council? Just talk about it when more of us are here? Okay. Sound good? Thank you. You made me feel better already. It was. Five-minute donut break? Oh, okay. I take that back. Good morning.
Before we begin, I would like to apologize for missing our last scheduled appointment. I was out on bereavement leave. And so I was out of state. So we are here today to ask council to approve a resolution to increase childcare provider reimbursement rates to match the state of Montana's reimbursement rates. Throughout my time in being the program manager, we've always matched the state rates. So, I did sit down with Natalie and we did look at our budget and we are able to meet the increase of the state rates with our budget with no issues. And we would like these rates to be effective November 1. Due to the fact that providers won't submit their billing for the month of November until December 1.
Any questions from council? When's the last time they changed their rates?
October of 2022.
Oh, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Is there any questions or discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Yeah, go ahead, Len.
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution. However, after this discussion, I would like to have a discussion with, Patty Hibbler about a daycare issue. But yeah, make the motion.
Okay. Motion by Len, second by Jimmy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all's in favor? That's unanimous. Let's see my screen. All right, motion passes, resolution passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need executive?
Yes, please.
We all move into executive. Morning, gentlemen and ladies. I heard there was a Bob sighting in the building.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair and members of council. We have today MDT here to discuss important issue, I guess, about the Post Creek section of Highway 93. Bob, I'll let you start out.
Thanks, Scott. Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the council, thank you for taking time to let us have a discussion with you this morning. My name is Bob Vosen. I'm the district administrator with the Montana Department of Transportation here in Western Montana. And I've got Beth Kappas and Ellen Henshaw with me, and these ladies can speak far more knowledgeably about the issue at hand. We do have a couple people on the Zoom link as well, but just the high point of this is we wanted to have a discussion about the exciting project that we're working on, the design build project, the Post Creek Hill project, and some challenges and opportunities in front of us right now but we want to make sure that we're doing it making changes in a respectful manner, and just want to engage in a discussion. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ellen, I believe.
Good morning. Thank you for letting us come this morning. So with the Post Creek project, we do have our contractor and the designer on board as we go through design of the project. And at our discussion meetings, it was brought forward if there was an opportunity. Currently, the road has a curvilinear alignment north of Post Creek in accordance with the SCIS as had been determined earlier, and the contractor brought forward if there was an opportunity for cost savings to straighten out the alignment, to keep it on the existing travel way, to kind of save in some of those fill locations, as well as pulling some of the recycled asphalt back into the final product. Looking at the project, we've got about 2,500 cubic yards of import fill that is needed to have the curvilinear alignment. We could reduce that quantity if we keep it on alignment, as well as about 17,000 cubic yards of embankment that we could reduce from the project by keeping it on existing alignment. Just very rough ballpark numbers. Just from a construction cost, the contractor estimates about $1.5 million savings to the project by not having that additional fill and work of pulling it off the existing alignment. We had our designer look at the wetlands to see if there were more or less wetlands that would be impacted. It looks like it's about the same, following the curvilinear or a more straight segment, just with how the wetlands are on both sides of the existing highway right now. While using the existing highway reduces the right-of-way by about 8 acres, which could be a additional cost savings by not having to purchase that right-of-way. There's 5 additional parcels that are impacted, so there is some more discussions that would need to be included with those additional parcels that would be impacted. Right-of-way has not begun on the project. We're kind of anticipating early next spring as the project moves forward and we get a better idea of where that alignment could be before we send some of the right-of-way folks out to start discussions. I think broad overview, open to questions.
Questions from council?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the report. I generally support your proposal. I think the main thing that I'm concerned about is, making sure, as you do your traffic studies, that we're capturing those, available turn areas that we should consider. Particularly Post Creek Hill and Post Creek are some bad ones. So, is there ways that we can make sure those areas are given consideration for extra turn lanes? And also the other thing too is when you get up to 9 Pipe where Allentown is, or 9 Pipe Lodge, sorry, the definitely need some turn lanes there and some pedestrian ability to cross, because there's a lot of access that folks do there for fishing and recreating and such. And I think all of us have seen folks fishing from the bridge and such. So anyway, thanks.
Are there questions or comments from council? The alignment is like from the overall goal of the People's Way to not have a straight line. So the plan for Post Creek Hill was to have really small turns, like as you progress towards St. Ignatius. And the wetlands you're talking about are the ones leaking, created from the leaky canal halfway down the hill.
I believe there's wetlands north of Post Creek as well on the
Oh, up on top.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and the canal should be relocated with the project, but I think we're really looking at north of the bridge, really.
Good. Any concerns about cost saving measure? Yeah, go ahead, Len. Oh, Martin, go ahead, Martin. Martin's question, is there a possibility of a detached walkway and path?
The Post Creek project currently does have a detached shared use path. I think it gets close to the road in some portions, just with some of those right-of-way concerns, but it is completely separate from the highway following along the eastern side for the full Post Creek project. And then as we head north, the 9 Pipe section has not been designed yet, but I think it's anticipated to continue that path completely separate from the highway for the duration of the project.
Any other questions? Council okay with the cost saving measures? In our last meeting with the safety consultants that we have, we talked about, the design for pedestrians, the need for lighted, stoplight, crosswalk type scenarios as an emphasis we want to see across all of our roadways. And then the turn lanes, left turn and right turn lanes, came up as tremendous safety issues for us. So I think when folks are talking about how the ingress and egress off of Highway 93 and how that's done safely is becoming more of an issue with the traffic counts that we have, so hopefully those are design standards that will be there. If we're moving pedestrians across Highway 93 in the Nine Pipe Wildlife Refuge area, we want to make sure that that's done with the pedestrians' safety as number one. And we really don't care if cars have to stop on the highway to make that happen. That's what needs to happen. Whatever the design is, we want to make sure that that's facilitated at that National Wildlife Refuge. Any other, go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What kind of timeframes are we looking at here before construction?
So with the design, they have started some investigative drilling, and then they're also looking to do some drilling in December and January to kind of figure out more of the artesian well conditions to kind of help with that bridge design. So we anticipate designing through all of next year. That key grant obligation timeframe is September of 2025. So we anticipate designing through next year and maybe into 2026, depending on how some of the right-of-way negotiations continue. I think the earliest construction would be anticipated for late 2026, leading into 2027 for the Post Creek portion of the project. And I believe the Nine Pipes portion is 27 on for construction anticipated as well.
Yeah, and I'm Beth Kappas, working on the North Nine Pipe project. That's sort of a couple of miles north of what Ellen's talking about in Post Creek. The timeline for that project lags about a year behind the Post Creek work. So we anticipate that going to construction in 2027 and construction continuing through 2028. That project does include turn lanes at Eagle Pass Trail to address the previously identified safety concern there. And the separated shared use path also continues through that North Nine Pipe segment. We aren't very far along on design for that segment yet. So not a lot of information on crossing and analysis on, how we handle all the pedestrian traffic there. But just wanted to note that the shared use path is included, and we are also addressing the safety concerns as a component of that project.
Thank you, Beth. I see we have some natural resource staff members besides Scott here. Do they have any comments? Thank you, Frank. Yeah, you might want to repeat that all, Frank. Yeah, because we have a few council members that are zooming.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. This project here will be presented to the Shoreline Protection Board tomorrow for their approval, disapproval, modification, but action will be taken tomorrow. And in addition this is Justin McCullum. He's our new hire, hired him as our 87A ELCO compliance technician. And he's been doing a real great job. So I'm happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank, and congratulations. All right. Well,
Mr. Chair,
yeah, go ahead, Martin.
thank you. I hope I have service. Who is responsible for the snow removal on the walkways and pathways? Is that ever been determined? Do you know? More of a,
Go ahead, Bob.
So, depending on location, I believe in this segment, there's not a maintenance agreement between MDT and CSKT or with MDT and Lake County. So without those maintenance agreements in place, I don't know that we ever made a solid determination who is responsible for snow removal. In the past, stuff was built without fully vetting that out and figuring out what we can do and how to share those responsibilities and what that looks like. So at this point, our Ronan section doesn't have equipment for removing snow, and our plow trucks don't fit on those narrow paths very well. So I think it's something that we need to be maybe engaging in further discussions, what the expectation is. We do have areas where we do remove snow from the paths all season, and then we have other areas where we treat our paths as seasonal paths. And you know, people cross country ski on them in the wintertime, and they bike on them in the summer, bike and walk. So I think that's something that we do need to engage in a little further discussion, what the expectation is, what the need is. But we don't have a formalized plan for snow removal on the projects in this stretch of the corridor.
okay, thank you.
Go ahead,
I'll bring
Lance.
that up. Can I follow up, Mr. Chair, please?
Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I guess that's something that we would bring up to the traffic safety study person. I'm assuming because Pablo is one of those places that is a ton of traffic and people are going through snow on those walkways and cutting across the highway because it's safer. So, thank you.
Thanks, Martin. Go ahead, Len.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the council. I think our stance needs to be that since those walkway paths are located in the MDOT right of way, it should be an MDOT right of way responsibility to keep those paths clear. So just my thoughts.
Thank you, Len. I guess, Bob, what's the scenario in other parts of the state where there's walkways?
Mr. Vice Chair, that's a great question that has a really large answer because it really is site specific. Every path has, we don't have a hard and fast scenario that we follow in every location. What we have been doing in the recent past, and I would say that's probably 5 years or more recent, is putting in place maintenance agreements with local agencies, cities, counties, tribes in some instances on what the expectations are and who's going to do what, because the shared use paths are installed in locations at the request typically of a community. We don't have a standard when we build a new highway. It isn't automatic that we're going to build a shared use path adjacent to it. We want to be responsive to the communities where we're working in. Some communities want them, some communities that we've actually have some communities that are adamantly opposed to them. So we're just responsive to where we're at. And that's one of the things that makes it really challenging is the fact that we don't have a funding source for path maintenance. This is one of the challenges that I explain in many places. It seems like it's easy to get our communities up to raise bake sales and sell raffle tickets to fund the construction of shared use paths and highway beautification. But when it comes to the maintenance of that, the ongoing maintenance cost, which is actually the larger cost, as you folks are well aware, that's the challenge that we have is what does funding for that look like moving forward? So I don't know if I even answered your question, but there really is a mixed bag. In some areas, MDT does have the responsibility to maintain it. In some areas, cities do, and some areas, counties do. So it just depends on the location and kind of what the driving factors were behind the shared use path. You know, in this stretch, we're going to have when we're done with the corridor, it's going to be a lengthy corridor with a lot of miles of path, and it's going to be a substantial cost undertaking to maintain the path, and not only the snow removal, but the crack sealing and the chip sealing and the weed spraying and et cetera that goes with it. So I think it's something that we do need to try to find a long-term solution to. And I am really open to ideas.
Thank you, Bob, for that non-answer. No, I mean for that great answer. Go ahead, Whisper.
Mr. Vice Chair, a couple of years ago, I became aware that the Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks have some trails grants, and they have federal highway funding for trails that are right next to roadways. In my helpfulness, I sent that to the county to apply for a grant, but I don't think they did. And so there is money for equipment. I don't know if there's money for the upkeep, but federal highways may be an option as we figure out how we can work together to take care of these trails, because you're right, they're going to fall apart eventually. The asphalt's going to start failing on us. So federal highways has some money for trails.
Thank you, Whisper. I know Fish, Wildlife and Parks in their grant program, you can get equipment to maintain, like a groomer or things like that. So, I mean, again, that's getting the equipment to just run on the trail to the pathway to keep it clear of snow would be, like a little bobcat with a snow thrower or something on it. That could probably get funded. It's just getting the driver and the gas and maintaining it once you have it. But that's step one. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Whisper. Any other comments for Beth or Ellen or Bob or Scott? All right.
Well, Mr. Vice Chair, again, I want to thank everyone for working the great partnership that Whisper brought up. Scott, Whisper, everybody that's just helping us, the council, for spending the money to go after the grants that we're successful for. I never envisioned in my career that we would be funding and moving forward with one of these projects, let alone currently there's 3 of them with more to come. So it's really exciting. And I just want to thank all of you for the great support and teamwork. And it's been a privilege to be part of.
Thank you, Bob. I think it's a mutual situation. And you're a young man, Bob. I expect the whole thing to be done before you retire. Pressure's on. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. All right, we'll take a break. 15 minutes. Has Quacksus up.
It can be open.
Open? Okay.
Yeah.
Think we're all back now.
Okay. Next, okay, Mr. Chair, council members, I am here. Hopefully you have the package to request additional budget authority out of the third-party funds to support, I guess, some changes that we've planned for going forward. I want to add, I want to prepare for staffing the intensive outpatient at the new hotel property you purchased. So I want budget authority to begin recruiting and hiring staff to support that facility. I also want to add a optical tech to my budget as the increased traffic in response to the change in the optical policy. I want to add a person, so I have a person in Holston and St. Ignatius all the time, so they're not moving back and forth. I have a person staffing that optometry program in both places at all times. In addition, I want to support the opioid response position with permanent funding rather than grant funding. You may not know this, but the opioid response project, Kathy Ross, is a grant funded project. So there was some question as to whether that would continue or not if she did not receive the grant this year, but she was successful. But I want to make it part of the permanent position so we don't deal with that uncertainty on those grant cycles. In addition, I want to add the suicide prevention position to the permanent budget and not fund that by grant funding. The Reason to Live Native grant was not successful, so we want to continue that effort on a suicide prevention effort. So we want to add that to the permanent budget. So total budget request for that particular budget is 1.949, $1,949,309. Overall, in 24, we collected approximately $21 million. We budgeted and used, I think, about 15 million. So there's room between what we actually spent and what we collected for the year. This budget and the following budget still puts us under that total collection. So we still make about $1.5 million contribution to the reserve balance, even with these additional expenditures.
And the Medicare B reimbursement,
So there is some additional staffing for the Medicare reimbursement in this proposed budget. So we would have those resort advocates included in this additional budget request, Tom. The Medicare, the actual expenditures, the reimbursement would come from the tribal health paid care budget. So the operations out of this particular budget, the reimbursements would come out of the paid care PRC funds.
go ahead, Len.
Joe, can you elaborate on exactly how operations are going to take place at Flathead Lake Inn?
I'll bring Dr. Fox to maybe be more specific about that, but we intend to operate intensive outpatient care, level 2.1, I believe. So that's like there's a certain number of hours you see. I think you occupy that person for 8 hours a day. I think they receive some kind of care. So we'll staff it with additional therapists at that clinic, plus some additional support because they're not in therapy 8 hours a day. They're in, anyway.
So it'll be for patients that have gotten out of treatment and you'll be attending this facility for a period of time?
Correct. So whatever their treatment plan requires, will be available 8 hours a day at that site for those patients. It's
okay.
Again, I'm not explaining it well, but
no, I understand. I'm just trying to get a general idea of how it's going to work because I'm trying to see how it's collaborating with DHRD because I know at one time part of the discussions included that we wanted to use that for our membership also that we're needing rooms for specific purposes. You know, for example, we have families coming in for funerals or whatever. And rather than putting them up in a hotel, we would have this facility for them or families that are in emergency need of a home but yeah, so I was just kind of wondering, is there a collaboration there or is this going to be just all a tribal health operation?
there will be housing provided there. I think we anticipate using a portion of that building, create some office space for the clinicians. So they would have an office space to do a one-on-one visit. There would be, I think, a portion of that building used to be a conference center. I think our intent is to remodel that to make a larger space so we can do groups in there or activities in there. I think another portion of that building will be converted into some type of housing. So yes, in theory, gets back to the intensive. I think the intent, it's almost like a job again, I'm a poor explainer of that, but it's almost like you drop them off and they're there for 8 hours a day and they have some time for therapy, some time for group therapy. I think we also include some kind of cultural component. So for an 8 hour day, they have access to different things. That's kind of intensive outpatient, but I will certainly bring Dr. Fox to be more specific about what that service will be at that facility. Yeah.
Ruth, go ahead.
Oh, yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to clarify the total third-party budget. I believe Mr. Derglo is referring to just the expenditures that Tribal Health manages. So you have to add in home care providers, that is under DHRD, and also the Justice and Mental Health Collaboration that's under Ann Miller, the Defender's Office. So the actual total current third-party budget is just under 18.5 million. The requested increases would bring that to a total of 21.3 million. I have looked at, as Mr. Derglo referred to, what our actual collections have been in third party. For fiscal 23, we had recorded 21.6 million. 24, we've not closed, but that is a good point to be made as to what the current collections have been in relation to the proposed increases to the budget.
Thank you, Ruth. So Joe, in regard to the grant money, they're still going to be applying for the grant money, even though you're moving them over to
Correct.
hard dollars?
Correct. The opioid response grant was funded, so that those services under that scope of work will continue. Kathy's doing that work by herself. She had a support person, grants manager position prior to James coming here, so she's got a vacancy she can fill there. I think she's spoken to some of you about expanding those services down to St. Ignatius. One, we want to continue that support. And two, we just want to remove some uncertainty about whether that community support goes forward as part of our permanent funding.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Joe and Ruth as well. Joe, could you elaborate just again a little bit about what you envision at the Logan Health building space and what, maybe, I guess Dr. Fox envisions having the services up there. I definitely support it. I just kind of curious as to what expanded services or such that we might see there.
Sure. Thanks, Councilman Steele. In part, it alleviates some space crunches in the Polson Health Clinic now. We're struggling with providing additional therapy because there's just no room to have a patient space for it. So it'll alleviate some space concerns in the Polson facility. I think longer term, Dr. Fox envisions a crisis response focus at that particular space. So it's not a long-term treatment. It's services available in response to a crisis. It also accommodates that because it's across from the hospital. So if the hospital has a patient in crisis there, we're close and we can respond to any crisis at those. So in part, James, it'll be focus on crisis response, alleviate some existing space crunch we have in that Polson building.
Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I guess I sure appreciate the effort, and I guess as we think of down the road when we make build our buildings and such. I just think of Lummi. They just built their new healthcare facility and they said they wish they had built it bigger because they were opened up in June and just they've already filled it up within just a couple months. So anyway, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like they're always underbuilt, but you can't really plan for it. As you know, we've made some changes in that Polson building. We've moved bodies around to accommodate an expansion of the dental services there. So we've made a shortage of space even more pronounced by taking 2 offices behind that dental office and converting them to exam rooms, pediatric exam rooms for the dental program. So those bodies that were there are crunched maybe upstairs to some degree more, and we've moved some to post mission. So it's space is just tight. I'm sure it's that way across the tribes. But this Logan Health building is designed as a clinic space. Some of you had a chance to see it. So we don't anticipate a significant remodel or upgrade for us to just move in and begin providing care and provide some office space.
Carol?
What if Medicaid expansion falls through? And this new administration, we don't know what to expect, really. So we just kind of status quo, or do we move forward?
I think there'll be, yeah, I mean, it's kind of reading the future there. I believe there will be some impacts. I believe, the Behavioral Health Commission was focused, or a number of the projects they approved were heavily dependent on a Medicaid expansion. So to some degree, the Republicans have committed to some form of that. I think they'll significantly change the criteria to some degree. The first time it passed, they tried to add those work requirements. So they may be trying to do something along those lines. I think it changes. What those changes are, I just don't know. I think we're in a spot, and Ruth may be able to answer this. I think we have a significant reserve balance. So, that would give us time to make whatever the adjustments going forward as to how we change our services based on those changes and the impacts to our particular community.
I have one question.
Go ahead, Carol.
Regarding something else, I went to Helena and met with LA Wellness on I think it was Friday or Saturday. I let the chairman know. Anyway, these people apply for Blue Cross Blue Shield, and one of our members went down to a treatment center in LA or California and got it all paid for, even the airline ticket. And this tribal member reached out to me and was telling me all about these great treatment center. Anyway, so I went and met the 2 people that flew in, and they met with Fort Peck, Fort Belknap, and then me. And so I didn't know that you could apply for Blue Cross Blue Shield and get treatment like that.
I think it's one of the marketplace options, Blue
Yeah.
Cross Blue Shield. So yeah.
So this talk about we can't send people out of state for treatment is a bogus response to me, if you can do that.
I don't know what.
Should be using that. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job, Joe. I was just surprised when they were telling me all these things. In fact, Mr. Vice Chair, they're going to send a letter to Mike and make a trip up here just to our tribe to let us know what they're all about, and try to get us, this girl, I guess, is doing fantastic. She's a Harmon last name.
Yeah.
And doing well.
Yeah.
So,
I believe Montana Medicaid does not send them out of state. But yeah, I'm sure there are marketplace insurances that will cover that cost or a portion of that cost.
I didn't know that. So anyway,
I think the uniqueness of like Tracy and what Joe set up with Tracy is to look at Obamacare and the private, the marketplace to customize an insurance coverage for that individual tribal member and lessen the overall burden on tribal health budget and provide the maximum best coverage you can. So it's not just like Medicare B they keep harping on. It's they're providing other insurance. They're paying for other insurances
Correct.
to do exactly what you're talking about. I don't know if there's any examples of that that you just mentioned, Carol, but I think that's the opportunity that Tracy et al. Would have to have before them if they knew the problem and it deliberated with each individual. I know they're looking at seniors first. They've been meeting with them, but I don't know how it works with the rest of the system that Joe has.
Yeah, I think that's the work we've been doing and the work in front of us when we kind of expand that Medicare B. It's unique to each individual and their circumstances. So if you meet with a person, we'll explore Medicare, we'll explore Medicaid, and then the marketplace options. So we choose the best one. If there's no cost, obviously that's our kind of priority because there's no additional cost for us. But we try to balance, I guess, the medical needs of that person too.
The other thing is their turnaround was quite quick. They were able to get somebody on a plane and on their way fairly quick. So I thought, wow, that's a solution right there for the individual that was stuck at the Black Bear Ranch for weeks waiting. And that's not nobody's fault. That's just the way it happens. And you got to get assessed and everything else before they can send you. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's a good insurance coverage. Blue Cross Blue Shield is a good plan.
Any other questions for Joe? Now, remind me again where the funding for the Logan building's coming from? Is that
Third party.
third party?
Yep. Both of these budget would be funded by third party.
So you exhausted all your ARPA?
There's still some ARPA funding. Ruth might be on the phone. One of the budgets, I can't remember which one, the ARPA loss reimbursements or ARPA healthcare. I've kind of got that lined out to continue to provide that inpatient treatment for folks. We spent 1.4 million paying for inpatient treatment outside of us. I anticipate a similar amount this year. So a portion of that ARPA budget, I think we're going to use to continue to support those costs. Yeah.
And your those particular stimulus ARPA type funding, there's no time limit on yours, right? Or is there?
Ruth can correct me. I think they routed them through the IHS compact, so I don't know if there's a time limit or not.
Go ahead, Ruth.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Once they were distributed through our funding agreement, they were available till spent.
Yeah. Till spent.
Go ahead. Get your mic on.
Make a motion to authorize the request by the department head to use third-party revenue to upgrade the facility at Flathead Lake or former Flathead Lake. Yes, no?
Expand operations or
Expand operations, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever your terminology is, just spit it out now.
All the issues, all three of them? Making a recommendation for all three issues, okay? Second by Lynn.
No pressure.
Any further discussions? Seeing none, all those in favor, show of hands. I think that's unanimous.
That included the Logan Health building purchase also?
You had that on number 2.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Very nice. I had a couple things I wanted to also get in front of you, I have a draft letter, that we want to send out to, those tribal members 65 or older. I don't want to commit until council has taken action to approve that, but I want to get a letter out telling them that as their social security statements come, we want them to save them or get them to us. I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg conversation, but we want to, those letters will start coming out soon.
Oh, I think, you know, I'm getting a lot of questions about it, Joe, so we're just waiting for Greg on how he's gonna do the thing. He's looked like doing a trial run beyond your individual POs that you've been doing.
Yep, yep.
So I think that's the only holdup that we have to approve it officially.
Should I wait to get the letter out? I don't want to create it.
I think you need to get it out because it's been in the minutes, been the quarterlies.
Okay.
Yeah, Carol would like to see it before you send it out, so.
Okay.
It might be a good idea to run it by Carol first.
I thought I sent it out, but I
First filter.
I will resend it out. I'll resend it out, I think. I thought I did.
I don't remember seeing it, Joe.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I did, but maybe not. I will send a copy of that draft letter out to you, for you to review and provide comments or edits. And then I would like to get it out.
You have to be 65 or older to look at it.
Yep. Okay.
Is it carved in stone so I can read it better? It's just joking.
I will route it for review and edits.
Yeah, we haven't seen it yet. So
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
Really, it's just asking them to save or provide us a copy of their social security statements. We are anticipating supporting Medicare B going forward, but. Wrong bunch here. Oh, and there's one guy that might get those. I know what they
I
look
think
like.
there's
Two
two
guys.
that could qualify here.
There's a couple of guys.
I haven't started drawing social security yet. You haven't either. Yeah.
We'll route it just for you to get a chance, and we'll ask Lana to take a look at it.
I think Jimmy and Bing might be. Yeah.
Okay, and the other thing I wanted to get in front of you now, but we'll add it to the health committee agenda also is Montana DPHS has proposed some changes to the THIP program. And I think that the most significant change that they want feedback on is if they want us to allow THIP to serve the population in the PRC area, not just on the reservation. So we would be responsible, or we could possibly be responsible for that population in Missoula and Kalispell, those counties that are included in the CHISDA. Adds numbers, adds additional duties. We're trying to pull some numbers to figure out what that impact might be total. And we'll put that on the health committee agenda, but there was a theoretically, yes, depending on how much Medicaid changes going forward too. Yeah, so it will add more population, more per member per month reimbursement. Yeah. About 10,000, I think, a better number, but. So anyway, I'll put that on the health committee agenda and we'll try to pull some numbers that help us identify what the impacts may be.
Joe, if you wouldn't mind, stop in and see Greg, see where he's at, so we can get that back on the agenda and we can officially approve the resolution. So, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe, before you run off, I brought this up to you before. And the reason I'm bringing it up again is that Mr. Foster up there had problems, I guess, the other day when he brought a body up. They have the damn center closed when this happens. But they weren't able to get a hold of nobody to open up the center. So finally, they did finally got somebody to open it up for him to get the body in there. And I believe they had it set up, but I'm not sure about it, but I'm pretty sure they had it set up. But then during the services up there, there is nobody there to work. Everybody's got to take their own garbage out, cleaning up the bathrooms, cleaning up the floors and everything else. And I don't see why they just don't have somebody up there that can, clean up these places where the people, instead of having their families have to do that. It's I don't know, it's just a pain in the neck when you have to turn around and look for somebody or clean up a mess or look for somebody to get a microphone or something up there for the father and them to use that stuff. And there's nobody there to do that. It's time and time again that this has happened, and I asked before, why doesn't Paul have somebody there? I mean, I know it's kind of tough at night, maybe, but maybe not so much after rosaries and stuff are over, they can let them go. But after that, it's up until then, somebody I really think needs to be there, to help out with certain things that need to be done there. 'Cause the kids, they kind of go into the bathroom and they kind of raise kind of cane and floors are wet and whatnot in there, So it's just the idea of not having anybody there, and they know that there isn't nobody, and they don't get the help that they need or whatever help there, cooks and whatnot. So it's just the idea of, they have asking for somebody to be there to help out.
Bing, thank you for bringing it up again. You may know this, but we don't have janitorial staff assigned to the community centers. I don't know if facilities does or not. The staff we have there are those fitness center staff who help people with workout programs. So let me visit with staff there and maybe Lisa to see how we might support janitorial staff at that particular space. We just haven't included in our staffing plan or budget to put a housekeeping staff over there. But maybe that's really what the approach needs to be to make sure it's rest.
Well, they have a maintenance man assigned there, but he doesn't do any work up there at all.
Yeah.
And then, I know Carlin does a lot. He goes up there, he does a lot of that work.
Yep.
When he's around.
Yep.
But last couple of times we had Richard Alexander come up. He got stuck there, and he got stuck helping out there, and he was just, Richard, he does a lot anyway down here at Mission, for the cultural center down there, but then he gets booked in up there, and then he gets stuck, and then he's there. He was there a long time the last time around, and he just him having to go ahead and do that, it's not.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bing. We'll explore some options there.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Can we go into executive?
We'll move into executive for legal.